Hello, hello. Welcome to the Enquiry podcast. This is a show that helps you to influence your reality to the greatest capacity in order to be able to use your life as the medicine that it is, to be able to know how to read the signposts and follow the breadcrumbs in order to express the fullness of who you are and what you're actually here for. I'm your host, Nerida Mills. I am a master psychosomatic practitioner, coach and facilitator, and it is my absolute pleasure to have you here. Welcome on board and let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Enquiry. It is my pleasure to have you here for episode 5. Today, we are going to really be looking at how to use your humanness for your growth. The reason that I want to talk to you about humanness is because I've literally just spent the day on the phone with clients, and it is a constant theme that is continually coming across my desk. Where our humanness is the thing that we use to berate, or the reason that we use to berate ourselves, to put ourselves down, to make ourselves not good enough. Our humanness is the part of ourselves that we feel is broken or inadequate in some way. And I see this over and over and over again. But the reality is that our humanness is actually where the gold lies. This is where our imperfection is, and not in the sense of inadequacy, but imperfection in the sense of difference and unique expression. And this is the part of ourselves that we really get a taste of, why we're here. I speak to a lot of people who say, I don't know what I'm here for. I truly believe what you're here for is to experience all of yourself. And if you are experiencing all of yourself, but you have limitations on elements that are okay within that and not okay within that, it's like, okay, well, the parts of myself that are okay today are the parts that are really confident and self-assured and communicate well and, please other people. They're the parts of myself that I'm going to allow in, but I'm not going to allow in and certainly not express my inhibition or my vulnerability. I'm not going to express my inadequacy or my fear around inadequacy. I'm not going to express my concern that I have around this thing that might get in the way of the outcomes that we're looking for. I'm not going to express the things that maybe other people aren't going to give me approval around. Maybe it's going to cause some form of rejection or isolation, and then I'm going to end up alone, and I'll spend the rest of my life alone, and then down the rabbit hole we go. But the reality is that it is all of us that is required in order for us to express ourselves out into the world in such a unique way that only we have the capacity to do, that has the ability to leave the imprint that we are here to leave. So if we are not accepting, embracing, and celebrating our humanness, then we are missing such a big piece of the pie. Now, what is your humanness? Your humanness is your mortality, right? We do not have forever. You do not get to live out this life until the end of days. There is a clock ticking. We don't know when that clock's going to go off. You could die tomorrow. You could die in 60 years' time from now. I don't know. It's, but the certainty that we have is you are going to die. There is an end point to this experience, and you have between now and then to get the most out of it. Your humanness is your inabilities. It's where you aren't strong in something, just as much as it is where you are strong in something and your abilities physically. It's your physical limitations. And I don't just mean, say, for example, maybe you have a bung knee. That's a physical limitation. But it's not just about those sorts of physical limitations. It's also the physical limitations of our primal expression as well. So there's a lot of things that play into that. And within our primal expression, we have primal impulses. Your humanness is that part of you that is driven by your animal nature. We are animals at a baseline, so we have needs based on that. We have a need for safety, security. We have a need for inclusion and tribe, and acceptance. We have primal desires and needs that move us into procreation, that move us into ensuring that the nest is safe. And conversely, we also have compensatory behaviors that happen as a result of those needs that are primarily driven. We don't even have any control over them. They're unconscious patterns and they just come out whether you want them to or not. And so that part of us, this humanness, like I remember the first time that I really understood what my banshee was. And I'll give you a little bit of a rundown. So my banshee really is the part of myself that comes out. I now understand that it's the part of myself that comes out when I'm feeling disrespected. And she hasn't really felt the need to come out in full force for quite some time, which I'm grateful for, because she will burn the ground in which I walk. She will destroy everything in order to regain some form of recognition and power back, or some form of control back, some form of respect back into life. And so how this was playing out for me was, I would kind of have a certain level of capacity to hold a lot of attention. I was a single mum of 3 children, trying to do it all for a really long time. And so, when one kid is being whingy, then that's okay, I can handle that. When 2 kids are being whingy, I can handle that. When 3 kids are all being whingy all at the same time, plus somebody that knocks on my door, I just I lose my shit a little bit. So, I used to anyway. And so it would be, it could be something as simple as that. Or, in my last relationship, when I was feeling disrespected, my banshee would come out and she would try and reclaim that boundary of, I am a sovereign individual. You can't tell me what to do. You can go and get stuffed. And so she'd come out in those situations. And for a long time, I called her my insanity. And the reason that I called her my insanity was because I couldn't control her. And she was the part of my mind that I really, I'd done a lot of work trying to consciously express myself in as many situations as possible. And she just had a knack for being able to come in and take over and, kind of express through me that which would then create a lot of challenge and hardship in my life. But what I came to understand was that she was a primal protection mechanism that was put in place in order to get my needs of safety and security met. And so when we can understand these primal parts of ourselves, we can actually make friends with them, and then we can channel them and use them for resourceful outcomes rather than these unresourceful, burn the ground in which I walk kind of experiences. So your humanness comes in a lot of different forms, but essentially anything to do with your animal nature, your mortal self, mortal being, and your primal impulses really does wrap in your humanness. I would also put into humanness failure, uncontrolled emotional expression, things like that. So, sometimes when you're having a conversation with somebody and something comes out of your mouth and you're like, what the fuck was that? I don't even know where that came from. That's your humanness. It's a part of your unconscious mind that you didn't have any control over. But the beautiful thing is that your humanness is also here to show you yourself. It's a really beautiful and quite focused insight into the unconscious mind. So we can really use it for your growth. So the first thing I'm going to recommend that you do when it comes to your humanness is pay attention. Pay attention to when these things kind of happen. Pay attention to your needs that are either being met or not being met in the situation, or are being called to be met. And really look at, okay, well, what is this actually, this situation is calling my awareness. My humanness calls my awareness to something just like anything else. And it's either going to show me that I have a need that I haven't met, that I have a part of myself that I haven't accepted, or owned or integrated, or that I have a hurt that I have been trying to protect myself from experiencing, moreover, through unresourceful behavior, aka my banshee, right? So if I have any of those things, if I have a hurt, if I have a need, or if I have I can't remember the other thing that I said, but if I have any of those things, our awareness is being drawn to is to resolve those things, right? Or the parts of not being accepted and not integrating. That's the other part, right? So we want to make sure that we're actually using this as an avenue to really dive into what we're seeing. So these are more signposts that we can use in our life to find moments of healing in our everyday. then what we want to do is we want to prioritize. So, okay, if this is showing me that a need is not being met, then what do I need to do in order to prioritize that need? If this is showing me that a hurt is present that I haven't been able to resolve, what do I need to do in order to resolve the hurt? And can I look at this hurt a couple of layers deeper than the initial presentation? Again, it's not the toothpaste lid that is off that is the issue. It's the feeling of being unsupported that might be the issue, right? So if I have a hurt that continues to come up, that I constantly feel like I'm not being supported, how can I actually support myself in such a way that is going to open my perception out or up to where I am supported, and where can I communicate how I actually need to be supported? Because a lot of the times when we are being supported and we don't feel supported, it can happen that either we have a blind spot around it, or it can happen that it's not being delivered in a way that is in alignment with our rules around what it needs to look like. So it's not that we're not being supported, it's you're not supporting me the way that I want you to. So maybe we need to have a conversation around that, right? So we really need to prioritize what actually needs to happen in order to resolve this issue. And then I really like one of the best things that you can possibly do for yourself as far as your own growth is concerned in your human experience is, instead of looking at I'm having a down day today, therefore I'm a failure and a piece of shit, what we can do is we can go, okay, how am I trending? How am I trending? Because ups and downs, cha-cha-cha, baby, we're going to 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's inevitable. That is part of the human experience. You cannot escape it. There is no straight lines. You can't keep going in the same, at the same rate of growth all of the time. It is impossible. So knowing that we're going to go up and down, knowing that you're going to get it right and then fuck it up, knowing that, these ebbs and flow of life is part of the natural expression of nature. Which direction am I trending? Am I trending in a direction towards my outcomes ultimately, or am I trending away from those? Now, that's a different question, because if I'm trending away from them, then I need to look at what am I doing there. If I'm trending towards them, can I bring myself a little bit of kindness in this? Because when we are moving towards new outcomes and we take a couple of steps and we get, quote unquote, we get it right. And then we celebrate. We go, oh my God, you're doing so amazing. I'm so proud of you. It's amazing. Like you've got this, blah, blah, blah. And then what happens is you're going to fuck it up inevitably, right? You're going to get it wrong. When we get it wrong, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to go, okay, that's okay. We knew this was happening. We're trending in the right direction. It's going to be okay. Get back on the horse. Let's keep on going, which is the fastest way through. Or we're going to go, see, this is exactly why I knew that we wouldn't be able to do anything different. This is exactly what, Mum told me my whole life, is that you're never going to get anywhere. And this is another example of this, and blah, 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 blah. And then you start bullying yourself into the spiral of depression. And you end up at a place where, the trend switches gear and then you start trending downwards. So, kindness is, I think, one of the most important acts that you can bring to yourself in your human experience. Simply kindness. Give yourself a break. It's okay to not get it right all the time. It's okay not to have the capacity to show up to the degree at which you would like all of the time. Again, we want to really want to look for trending. How am I trending? Is this become a pattern, or is this a once-off? Is this become an excuse, or is this something that's really valid that's just happened in this moment? Like, actually ask yourself these questions and go a little bit deeper than, I screwed up, therefore I'm a failure. Because that is the guaranteed pathway to nowhere. So I trust that that's going to be of benefit to you all. We are all human beings. We do all have a human experience. We do all have primal impulses that influence that human experience. And we all have these beautiful physical bodies that will also really ground us into this physical experience and this humanness of expression. So sending you all so much human love, and I will speak to you soon. So that's it from us. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I would like to really acknowledge you for spending the time to explore what creates your reality and how you can influence it best. If you have absolutely loved this episode and the ones before it, then I highly encourage that you jump onto my newsletter list. You'll be able to find the details of that in the show notes. You can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Nerida Mills. Really, really, really looking forward to speaking with you again soon. If you have any comments, insights, feedback, anything that you would like to share from these episodes, please feel free to email me at info@neridamills.com. Until next time.